Let me be honest with you for a second. I've spent way too much time in parking lots. Not because I enjoy it, trust me. Nobody enjoys a parking lot, but because if you actually pay attention, parking lots are one of the most psychologically revealing places on earth. More than any personality test, more than any therapy session, more than whatever your zodiac sign supposedly says about you. The way you park your car tells me almost everything I need to know about who you are as a person. And before you roll your eyes and click away, just hear me out because there's actual science behind this, and I think by the end of this video, you're going to recognize yourself, or someone you know, or both. Probably both. Let's start with the most common one, the pull-through person. You know exactly who this is. You pull into a parking lot, and instead of backing in or just taking the first spot you find, you specifically hunt for a spot where you can drive through to the one in front, so when you leave, you just pull straight out. No reversing, no looking over your shoulder. Clean exit, every time. Now, on the surface, this seems perfectly reasonable, efficient, even. But here's what this actually says about you. You are obsessed with control, but only in the way that lets you avoid discomfort. The pull-through isn't really about efficiency. It's about anxiety management. You've mentally fast-forwarded to the moment you have to leave, and you've already solved that problem before it happened. You think about exits before you even walk through the entrance. You're the person who reads the last page of a book first. You have multiple exit strategies for social situations. You've definitely rehearsed how you'd leave a party without having to say goodbye to everyone. Is this a bad thing? Not necessarily. But I gently suggest that maybe, just maybe, you spend a little too much mental energy planning your escape from things that haven't even started yet. Now let's talk about the reverse parker. Oh, the reverse parker. This person will pass up 3 perfectly good pull-through spots to back into a single space facing out. They will make 7 other cars wait while they execute a 3-point maneuver into a spot they could have just pulled straight into. And they will do this every single time, without fail, with complete calm, as if the rest of the world simply does not exist. Here's what psychology tells us about reverse parkers. They are almost always people who take enormous pride in their competence. Backing in is objectively harder. It requires spatial reasoning, confidence, and a certain disregard for the impatience of everyone around you. The reverse parker knows this. The reverse parker wants you to know this. There's a quiet smugness to it, not aggressive, not rude, just a very calm, I do things the right way. And if that inconveniences you for 45 seconds, that's really your problem. These are the people who refuse to use store brand products, who will correct your grammar in a group chat, who have very strong opinions about the correct way to load a dishwasher, and they're probably right, which is what makes it so annoying. I say all of this as someone who has reverse parked exactly once and hit a shopping cart. Then there's the spot hunter. This is the person who will drive slowly through an entire parking lot lap after lap, searching for a closer spot, even when there are plenty of open spots 40 feet further away. They will wait 2 full minutes for someone to load their groceries and pull out, rather than just parking in the empty spot that's right there, that has been right there the entire time. The spot hunter is not lazy. That's the misconception. The spot hunter is a negotiator, a strategist. Someone who fundamentally believes that a better option is always available if you just wait long enough. These people are incredibly patient in situations where patience pays off. They're excellent at getting upgrades, finding deals, waiting for the right moment. But they also have a tendency to miss out on perfectly good opportunities because they're convinced something better is right around the corner. And honestly, sometimes they're right. But sometimes they've spent 4 minutes circling a Target parking lot on a Tuesday afternoon, and that's just a choice. There's a related type here. The person who sees a decent spot, passes it, finds nothing better, and then can't bring themselves to circle back. They'll park in the farthest corner of the lot before admitting that the first spot was fine. Pride is a fascinating thing. Now we need to talk about the person who takes up 2 spots. I'm going to try to be fair here. Sometimes this is accidental. Someone misjudges the lines, it happens, whatever. But the chronic 2-spot parker, the one who does it consistently, who parks diagonally across the line on purpose, often justified by the fact that they drive a nicer or bigger car, this person has a very particular relationship with rules. Specifically, they see rules as guidelines that apply to other people. They're not malicious about it, they've simply constructed a narrative in which their situation is special enough to warrant an exception. Maybe it's the car. Maybe they're just running in for a second. Maybe they believe that if they park far enough away from other cars, the extra space somehow makes it okay. What's interesting is that two-spot parkers are often extremely rule-conscious in other areas of their lives. They're the ones who will correct someone for going through a stop sign because that affects them. The parking thing only affects strangers, so it's fine. The psychological term for this is motivated reasoning, and we all do it to some extent. But the two-spot parker has elevated it to an art form. Let's talk about the person who, no matter what, parks as far away from other cars as possible. Not because they're inconsiderate, the opposite. They park in the far corner of an empty lot, away from everyone, by choice. If someone parks near them, they feel mildly annoyed. If someone parks directly next to them, when there were 50 other options available, they feel genuinely violated. This person values their space, physical and otherwise, in a way that most people don't fully understand. They're not antisocial, they're boundary conscious. They have a small, tight circle of people they actually let in, and they are absolutely baffled by people who overshare with strangers or show up uninvited or stand too close in line. They're usually the calmest person in a crisis and the most unsettled person at a surprise party. If this is you, you probably hate open plan offices. You definitely have a preferred seat in every restaurant you go to regularly, and you have rehearsed what to say when someone asks why you didn't park closer. "I like the walk" is the official answer. The real answer is that the walk is worth it for the solitude. Now, here's one that doesn't get talked about enough. The person who parks perfectly, by the book, every time wheels straight, centered in the spot, a reasonable distance from the line on both sides, and then feels a very specific, quiet satisfaction about it. You think this person is just a rule follower. But it's more specific than that. This is someone who finds genuine comfort in doing things correctly, not because they're told to, but because disorder, even small, inconsequential disorder, creates a kind of low-grade discomfort in them that's hard to explain to people who don't feel it. They straighten pictures on other people's walls. They notice when a menu item is misspelled. They've sent back a form because the formatting was inconsistent. And here's the thing, they don't think they're better than you. They just think things should be done right, and they're genuinely a little confused by people for whom good enough is actually good enough. They make fantastic accountants. They are occasionally exhausting at restaurants. And then finally, my personal favorite, the person who parks, gets out, walks to the entrance of wherever they're going, realizes they can't remember if they locked the car, and goes back to check, locks it again, walks back, stops halfway, goes back one more time, places their hand physically on the door handle to confirm, walks away, is still not fully sure. This isn't about parking, really. This is about a brain that doesn't trust its own record keeping, that even when it saw the event happen, the lock engaging, the lights blinking, refuses to file it as confirmed. It needs to redo it, touch it, be sure in a way that's different from just knowing. These people are often brilliant and creative because their brains are never fully at rest. They notice things other people miss. They also spend a non-trivial portion of their lives second-guessing things that are objectively fine, which is a frustrating way to be. And they know it, and they do it anyway. Here's the part I want you to take away from all of this. And yes, there is actually a point beyond me roasting everyone's parking habits. The way we handle small, low-stakes decisions is almost always a preview of how we handle bigger ones. The pull-through person doesn't just plan parking exits, they plan life exits, backup plans, escape routes. The reverse parker doesn't just back into spots, they do things the hard way, on principle, across the board. The two-spot parker doesn't just bend parking rules, they have a long list of situations where the normal rules don't fully apply to them. None of these are judgments, by the way. Okay, maybe the two-spot thing is a little bit of a judgment, but mostly this is just the fascinating reality that human beings are remarkably consistent. We have patterns. We repeat them everywhere, even in places as mundane and forgettable as a parking lot on a Wednesday afternoon. So next time you're circling a lot looking for the perfect spot, or backing in while someone behind you sighs loudly, or carefully centering your car between two pristine white lines, just know that you're not just parking. You're being exactly who you are. which is either comforting or terrifying, depending on how you park.